privilege of being in Denver 4 years ago. How many of you were there with me? All my closest friends. And what a special, life-changing event it was. And the night that candidate Obama gave his speech was literally, for me, life-changing. I became politically aware at the University of Kentucky. Any Wildcats in the room? Are we all Buckeyes today? Center who can play some basketball, huh? And to my horror, at the University of Kentucky, it was in the newspaper one day. We have the longest-running student-run college newspaper in the country. That the great Happy Chandler, a beloved cultural and political figure in the Commonwealth, had made a horrible racist remark during a Board of Trustees meeting. The Board of Trustees was talking very progressively and responsibly about divesting its monies from the apartheid government in South Africa. And Happy, sitting in his wheelchair, said, "Why are we talking about that? Isn't it just a bunch of ends?" Anyway. And by the grace of God, there was a reporter from the Kentucky Colonel present. He printed it in the newspaper, and me sitting in the Kappa House with our cook Barbara, who of course was a woman of color. I decided that just wasn't right. And I decided that a public institution had no space on the Board of Trustees for someone with those beliefs. And I'm telling you what, the generation card didn't work for me. I don't care if that's how you talked coming up, because it's not the way to talk today. Fraternities and sororities, and I got radical. And I've been progressively and delightfully radical ever since. And I sat all on myself, painting stuff on sheets, hanging it out the windows, leading campus-wide walks out of classes, going to classes I knew my friends were in first, and none of them came with me, and we've got funny stories to tell today about that. But fortunately, most of them have joined me along the way. And that is how my political consciousness was born. And then I found out things about our wonderful republic and our government that I just didn't like. It was a bit like finding out your parents have sex, you know what I mean? It's like really disgusting and shocking and a sense of profound betrayal. I learned about the Iran-Contra affair. I learned about the United States propping up dictators in countries like Zaire and Central America. And I decided that I didn't want to be a part of that I was American, who believed in equality and justice and hope, not just for us, but for all the people in the world. I love our United States Agency for International Development because we show the world the compassionate face of America. And fast forward to 2008. And our fine president taking office on that fantastically crystal clear cold day in Washington, D.C. Was anybody there with me? I mean, did it lift your spirits or what? But even as I joined in that moment of extraordinary manifestation of the American dream, I knew that there was hard work to be done. And that our president's first order of business was to stop the bleeding. He had to do triage. Our economy was hemorrhaging. In January of 2009, women lost more jobs than they have ever lost in the history of keeping labor records in this country. Yeah. Not to mention the fact that a woman over the course of her career loses on average $340,000 due to paycheck inequality. So when he took office, the very first thing he did with the swipe of his powerful and righteous pen was pass the Lilly Ledbetter. And then over the course of those 4 years, he's been able to help the private sector add 1.4 million jobs that women now fill. We were losing jobs in the hundreds of thousands when he took office, many of them in Ohio. And over the last 28 months, we've added 4.5 million jobs to the private sector. But another part of the compassionate face of the Obama administration, as you well know in Ohio, because the numbers are fantastic in your state, is historic health care reform. We have told people over the years trying to pass health care reform, but no one could get it done. And yet this president, in spite of the extraordinary obstacles in Congress, managed to pass health care reform, and I'm telling you what, Ohio, I cannot wait to see what he can do in 4 more years. In your state alone, 640,000 children with pre-existing medical conditions cannot be denied insurance. Over 100,000 previously uninsured young adults are now covered on their parents' policies. Any of y'all in the room? Yes. Your children can graduate from community college or vocational school and start to work on building their incomes and their careers, and they don't have to worry about going bust because they don't have insurance. Over 185,000 Ohio's with Medicare saved an average of $512 on their prescription drug costs in 2011 alone. Think about those savings, especially for the elderly over time. And I love this one because we're smart, right? And we know that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. 900,000 Ohioans with traditional health care accessed free preventative services. And that does include women now being covered with 8 additional services on their health care. And before I leave you to enjoy another company and hopefully something else to eat, let's just talk for a minute about one of the lightning rod issues in our country, abortion. What I've always figured is that if we make medically accurate sex education available to boys and girls and to women and men, and we make modern family planning available to them, we prevent unintended pregnancy. And as we prevent unintended pregnancy, we make the need for abortion, except in the case of rape, incest, and to save the life of the mother, obsolete. And as our wonderful 32nd President of the United States said, abortion should be safe, it should be legal, and it should be rare. That we can make it rare. And in the meantime, what we know is that at any time, in any relationship, at any age, and in any place, rape is rape. Period. Looking at Governor Romney's campaign and watching some of their convention last week is the scrambling that they attempted to do to distance themselves from Mr. Aiken's remarks, when in fact we all know that Paul Ryan supported him on that proposed legislation, which included attempting to narrow the definition of rape. I don't know about y'all, but I'm uncomfortable with that. So you have a president who was raised in part by a grandmommy who earned less than the men she trained, who was married to an extraordinary woman of color at a time when it was unusual, managed to attend an Ivy League school, and who is the father of 2 little girls with whom he sits down every evening at 6:30 to have supper and help with homework. That's a man I like as my president.